Colonial archives in places like New Hampshire oftentimes will obscure the subjectivity of historical actors like enslaved African Americans. What I've been doing is trying to read things like court cases in a more novel way or in a more creative way, thinking about the testimony that enslaved plaintiffs give. I try to think about that as actually the enslaved person's voice coming through the record. There is a court case from 1734 in which 3 enslaved men, Quam, Jack, and Cato, allegedly, over the course of a couple of months, stolen several articles from various shops, warehouses, and houses within Portsmouth. Quam had allegedly given some of these stolen goods to 2 enslaved women. Jack had allegedly been given a razor from another enslaved person. So through these details, I can start to kind of piece together who is interacting with who, how they might have known each other, right? Because if I know who a person's enslaver is to, I might be able to think about the type of space that these people might have overlapped in. So it kind of broadens, in some senses, my conceptualization of the community of the enslaved. There are very few sources created by the enslaved themselves. A really prominent example of a source that was created by enslaved people is a 1779 petition in which 20 enslaved people in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, petitioned the New Hampshire legislature to free them. And using a lot of Enlightenment rhetoric that's similar to that found in the Declaration of Independence, they make the case why they should be freed from bondage. Within this petition itself, you can actually begin to see the way that they are conceiving of an emerging sort of African American identity through a shared history of displacement. I actually have a BS in biology. While I was a lab manager at Keene State, I ended up enrolling in their Masters of History and Archives program. And one of the books we read early on was Marissa Fuentes' Dispossessed Lives, figuring out the ways that she was able to use fragmentary evidence to tell the stories of these enslaved women when diaries or other types of larger historical sources were not available for her. That inspired me, or really piqued my interest to continue studying the transatlantic slave trade. I think many of us, particularly in New England, we associate slavery with as some sort of southern phenomenon that emerged during, the 19th century. At Slavery North, I want to kind of help counter that narrative and, demonstrate that it was indeed practiced in New Hampshire for over 150 years.